Casey Anthony, a complete timeline for murder case and trial. In 2008, the world was captivated by the perplexing actions of Casey Anthony, a 22-year-old single mother from Orlando, Florida. She became embroiled in a web of deceit while attempting to conceal the disappearance of her 2-year-old daughter, Caylee, during that summer. Shocking Facebook photos depicted her partying around town, and her lack of emotional display during interviews fueled suspicions of first-degree murder, even before Caylee's body was discovered later that year. However, the case would ultimately leave many questions unanswered, as Casey escaped a murder conviction in 2011. August 9, 2005, the birth of Caylee Marie Anthony. Caylee was born, surprising family members who had previously been denied knowledge of Casey's pregnancy. Casey hinted at potential fathers, including her then fiancé, Jesse Grund, and another young man who had supposedly died in a car accident. However, the identity of Caylee's father was never publicly disclosed. June 16, 2008. Casey departs with Caylee. Caylee was primarily raised by her grandparents, Cindy and George Anthony. However, following a heated family argument on Father's Day, June 15, Casey left with her daughter, rebuffing attempts at reconciliation. July 15, 2008, Cindy reports Caylee missing. After discovering that a car Casey had used was impounded, George found the vehicle and was hit by a foul odor, even after removing a bag of trash from the trunk. Later that day, Cindy contacted Casey, and a series of 911 calls ensued, reporting that Caylee had been missing for a month and demanding Casey's arrest. Cindy also noted the vehicle's odor, saying, "It smells like there's been a dead body in the damn car." July 16, 2008, Casey's arrest. Casey led investigators on a confusing series of false leads, first to an unoccupied apartment supposedly belonging to a nanny named Zenaida Fernandez Gonzalez, who had allegedly taken Caylee on June 9, and then to Universal Studios, where Casey pretended to have a job. Subsequently, Casey was arrested and charged with child neglect, lying to investigators, and interfering with a criminal investigation. July 22, 2008, Casey declared a person of interest at bond hearing. At a bond hearing, evidence was presented that a cadaver dog had detected the scent of human decomposition in both the car trunk and the Anthony's backyard. Cindy also admitted that they had all seen Caylee after June 9. Despite Casey facing relatively minor charges, the judge was disturbed by the evidence in Casey's seeming indifference, setting bail at $500,000. August 20, 2008, Casey's bond posted. Bounty hunter Leonard Padilla from California paid the $500,000 bond with hopes that Casey would lead them to Caylee. August 30, 2008, bond rescinded. The bond was revoked the day after Casey's arrest for allegedly stealing and cashing checks from a friend. Furious crowds outside the Anthony home contributed to this decision. Padilla commented, "I came, I gave it my best shot. She didn't want to talk to me. What can I say?" Casey was later released again after others posted the bond on September 5, but returned to jail by the end of the month. October 14, 2008, Casey charged with first-degree murder. An unsealed indictment charged Casey with first-degree murder, aggravated child abuse, aggravated manslaughter, and 4 counts of providing false information to law enforcement. Casey's lawyer, Jose Baez, asserted that her actions would become clearer during the trial. October 24, 2008, forensic reports on Casey's car released. Forensic reports indicated that a hair strand found in the car trunk was microscopically similar to Caylee's brush, exhibiting characteristics of apparent decomposition. Additionally, an air sample from the trunk contained chemical compounds consistent with human decomposition. December 11, 2008, skeletal remains found. Utility worker Ray Kronk discovered the skeletal remains of a young girl in a bag in a wooded area near the Anthony home. It was later revealed that Kronk had previously tried to persuade the police to search the area during the summer. December 20, 2008, remains confirmed as Caylee's. The Orange County Chief Medical Examiner determined that the bones showed no signs of trauma and ruled Caylee's death as a homicide of undetermined means. Although duct tape was found around the skull's nose, mouth, and jaw, advanced decomposition made it impossible to pinpoint the exact cause and date of death. January 23, 2009. George taken into custody after suicide attempt. George was found at a Daytona Beach hotel in a despondent and possibly under the influence state, along with a 5-page suicide note. April 13, 2009. Prosecutors seek death penalty. Prosecutors announced their intention to pursue the death penalty, citing sufficient aggravating circumstances in contrast to earlier court documents. May 24, 2011. Trial begins with defense's startling claims. The trial commenced with the prosecution portraying Caylee as a partygoer with little regard for her daughter, highlighting her month of shopping and drinking during Caylee's absence. Defense attorney Jose Baez made a startling opening statement suggesting that Caylee had drowned in the family swimming pool and that George tried to cover up the accident. Baez also alleged that George had molested Caylee, leading to her habit of lying to mask her pain, and claimed that utility worker Kronk had discovered Caylee's body and planted it in the woods. George denied any molestation and knowledge of Caylee's drowning. May 27, 2011, witness offers opinion on car smell. Simon Birch, manager of the towing company that impounded Caylee's car, testified that he had encountered vehicles with dead bodies during his 3-decade career and that the odor from Caylee's car matched those experiences. Caylee's brother's fiancée also testified about the special bond she observed between Caylee and her mother. June 6, 2011, forensics expert testifies. Arpad Vast from the Oak Ridge National Laboratory explained the shockingly high level of chloroform in the car trunk, indicative of decomposition or potential use to incapacitate someone. However, his testimony was contradicted by an FBI scientist the next day, who compared the chloroform level to that found in household cleaners. June 8, 2011. Jury considers internet searches. A software designer testified that someone had searched for chloroform 84 times and looked up terms like head injuries, ruptured spleen, chest trauma, and internal bleeding on the Anthony's home computer in March 2008 during George and Cindy's work hours. Later, the designer corrected an error in his software, revealing that the user had only visited a chloroform-related site once. June 23, 2011, Cindy contradicts earlier testimony. In a pivotal moment for the defense, Cindy claimed she was the one who researched chloroform on her computer. She also testified that a stain in the trunk, allegedly from Caylee's decomposing body, had been there since they purchased the car 8 years earlier. July 3, 2011, closing arguments presented. Prosecutor Jeff Ashton argued that Caylee, burdened by motherhood, went to extreme lengths for her freedom, sacrificing her child. Jose Baez, though forbidden from revisiting unsupported molestation claims, emphasized the lack of evidence linking Caylee to her daughter's death or placing Caylee's body in the car trunk effectively. July 5, 2011, Caylee acquitted of murder. After nearly 6 weeks of testimony and the presentation of 400 pieces of evidence, the jury, consisting of 7 women and 5 men, reached a verdict of not guilty in less than 11 hours. July 7, 2011, Caylee sentenced to time served. Caylee received a 4-year sentence and a $4,000 fine for 4 counts of lying to the police. However, her prison time was offset by her nearly 3 years already spent behind bars and credit for good behavior. July 17, 2011, Caylee released from jail. Caylee was released from the Orange County Jail shortly after midnight, passing approximately 100 protesters demanding justice for Caylee. Her attorney stated, "It is my hope that Caylee Anthony can receive the counseling and treatment she needs to move forward with the rest of her life."